Fast Five is brought to you in association with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Avalara. Avalara makes tax compliance faster, easier, more accurate, and more reliable for 30,000 plus business and government customers in over 90 countries. Avalara leverages 1,200 plus signed partner integrations to power tax calculations, document management, tax return filing, and tax content access. Visit avalara.com to improve your compliance journey. And Miracle. Miracle is the global leader in platform business innovation for e-commerce. Companies like Macy's, Nordstrom, and Kroger use Miracle to build disruptive growth and profitability through marketplace, dropship, and retail media. For more, visit miracle.com. That's MIRAKL.com. And Own It AI. Own It AI helps the world's leading retailers advance their e-commerce shopping experience with AI. To learn more, visit ownit.co. And finally, Ocampo Capital. Ocampo Capital is a venture capital firm founded by retail executives with the aim of helping early-stage consumer businesses succeed through investment and operational support. Learn more at ocampocapital.com. Hello, you are listening to OmniTalk's Retail Fast 5, ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, and currently the only retail podcast ranked in the top 100 of all business podcasts on Apple Podcasts. The Retail Fast 5 is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week too. And the Fast 5 is just one of the many great podcasts that you can find from the OmniTalk Retail Podcast Network, alongside our Retail Daily Minute, which brings you a curated selection of the most important retail headlines every morning, and our Retail Technology Spotlight series, which goes deep each week on the latest retail technology trends. Today is October 16th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Ann Mazenga.
And I'm your other host, Chris Walton.
And we are here once again, live from the Windy City, to discuss all the top headlines from the past week, making waves in the world of omni-channel retailing. Chris, we're here. We're in Chicago. We're at Shop Talk Fall. How has the Windy City been treating you so far in the last hours?
Yeah, I'm excited for Shop Talk Fall. Like, I'm really pumped for it. It's the first time they've had the conference, and I think in general, first times they're very exciting. They go by really quickly. And I'm really thrilled to be here. I got to have dinner with the Shop Talk team yesterday, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a great conference.
Yes, the theme is spies here, or like secret agents. And we are going heavy in on the theme. I cannot wait. You have to stay tuned. We're going to have lots of coverage from the show this week, and including our takeaway session where we have a little surprise. So you'll have to listen or watch that to find out just what happens. So, and how fitting we are with the spy theme. But Chris, one other thing, every good spy has a good earpiece. Have you noticed? Like when they have to put their hand on, like, excuse me, sir. Yes. Target sighted, like I'm going to practice that. But we have some very special earpieces today also. We have some new Bose Quiet Comfort headphones that we are using courtesy of Bose and Carrie Craig, one of our biggest fans. So shout out to Carrie there. Chris, are you feeling that your listening experience has been leveled up right now?
Oh, 100%. I think I always get a lot of crap from old bosses of mine, particularly one about the wired headphones that I typically use on these podcasts. And I recently switched to the earbuds, and now I've got these Bose earbuds,
the Quiet Comfort headphones.
I feel like they accentuate my lobes, and I feel like
they do.
Really do.
I know. I tried to get on color scheme branding with my headphones today. I have like a lovely little lilac purple. So I was inspired. My whole outfit was inspired by these Bose headphones. So thanks again to Carrie and to Bose. We love you. Thank you for getting us ready for this very secret agent Shop Talk Fall.
Nice drop of the word lilac too. Lilac. That puts us in a very calm and soothing mode, I think, before I read the headlines.
Oh, yeah. Lavender. You're thinking of lavender, maybe.
Oh, lilac. Lavender.
Yeah.
Lavender and lilac kind of go hand in hand, though.
Oh, they're in the same color wheel for sure. For sure.
Definitely the same ballpark, right? All right. Well, let's get to today's headlines. today we've got news on, and I'm pumped about today's headlines. I think
Yes.
I got really excited preparing for this podcast. So today we've got news on Google Shopping's big new transformation, Amazon bundling online shopping of food with non-food items, JD Sports' new pre-owned sneaker program, Amazon testing on-site robotic warehouses at Whole Foods so customers can pick up other items that Whole Foods doesn't carry at checkout. But we begin today with big news that leaves a little bit of a hole in our hearts. And
All right, Chris, headline number one. That is right. Grabango has called it quits. According to Payments Dive, Grabango, the automated checkout technology company whose software was used by Aldi and piloted in several U.S. convenience store chains, has permanently ceased operations. Grabango's technology was similar to Amazon Just Walk Out tech in that it kept track of what shoppers picked up inside the store as soon as they entered. And then, when ready to leave, customers would scan a code in the Grabango mobile app and their payment would automatically process. However, unlike Amazon, Grabango's technology also did not rely on weight sensors within stores' shelves and used cameras only. Chris, Grabango shut down this week. Amazon called it quits on some Just Walk Out tech, or called its Just Walk Out technology tech cumbersome last week. And so I have to ask you, is this the final nail in the coffin of fixed position camera-based Just Walk Out systems?
oh wow, and you're starting me off hot. I think sadly, I think very, very sadly, I think I'm gonna actually say that it is. I'm gonna make this
This is
statement
it,
that
huh?
I think it is. I think this is the nail in the coffin. Quite simply for the fact that just walking out of a store, as we talked about last week, isn't that valuable of an idea to consumers as a point of differentiation. And also, perhaps more importantly, all the other benefits of the cameras, specifically pricing and inventory accuracy, can all be accomplished more simply and easily and cost effectively with other systems, especially
Right,
via in-store robotics, right?
right,
We've talked about
right.
that a lot on our show. So the implications of all of this from this announcement from Grabango are big in my mind because Grabango was actually trying to do it in the least capital intensive way, like you mentioned. They're doing it without shelf sensors, but yet they still had trouble getting traction. So
Yeah.
my prediction, I'm going to be bold here. My prediction, bold, right at the start of this podcast. My prediction is that all the activity in this area is going to cease, particularly among grocers, and that more investment and energy will be put towards things like in-store robotics, which, as I've said before, will make 2025 the year of the in-store robot because just walkout systems are getting pulled back. Robotic implementations are already on the rise. You're seeing them go from grocers to warehouse clubs. The
Yep.
trend is already heading in that direction, and this news just further intensifies that trend, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that, retailers, like we've talked about multiple times, they really have had to focus, shifting their technology investments to things that are really impacting their core business. And to your point, like this is still kind of something on the roadmap that was more of a like very R&D heavy, nice to have. Even some of these Grabango stores that they were piloting, it wasn't the only way to shop those stores either. So I think that's the key thing. Like it was still in test mode. It didn't seem like they were, these retailers were willing to like go all in on it too. And I think that for me, it's not a no, this technology is never going to happen again, or that we're not going to see it pop up again. I just think that because of the things you said, there's other ways that you can achieve some of the benefits that this provides, like robotics, like, controlled entry and exit and other things that don't
Right.
require as much capital investment right now from retailers that they just don't have. They just have to focus on other things like, labor shortages, shrink, all these other things. And there are ways to do that more affordably than I think this technology. Unfortunately, we're so big on it. I'm so sad to like make this the final, um, but
But you're kind of feeling
maybe,
that way too, then ultimately.
yeah, yeah, I think, yeah,
I mean, to your point, like even though we talked about last week, Sam's Club's exit setup, which
hmm
uses some computer vision, but uses it in a different way with Scan and Go or even Instacart Smart Cart, you can still get at that in the long run in a very simpler, less capitally intensive way to do it. And you just get down to it, like keeping all those items tracked in a store with the degree of
yeah.
accuracy that you need, and then the impact it puts on merchandising, like Amazon talked about, just seems like it's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens and follow suit. But yeah, Amazon closed some Go stores this past week too.
Well, yeah,
It's
right. Yeah,
not
right.
looking
Yeah, that's
great.
right. Yeah. And you know what though? We'll always have Germany. We'll always have our summer of
We will.
2022
We
trip
will.
to Germany where we tried
Yes.
out all these different stores. All right, headline number two, Google Shopping announced some big changes yesterday. According to a company blog post penned by Sean Scott, good alliterative name, the VP GM of Google Shopping, a number of changes are coming, and here is how they work. Say, for example, Anne, you were to search for men's winter jacket for Seattle.
Oh,
And then
yes.
Google will now provide an AI brief with the most important things you should know before investing in a new coat for this climate. It'll show products recommended by sources from across the web and an explanation of why they're a fit for your needs. You'll also see categories that give you a more organized view of the types of jackets to consider. And for those who want to research more deeply on the web, you can also easily click through to relevant articles, which is a key point. In addition, your results will also include dynamic filters that let you zero in on your preferences, like if you need a certain size or want something available near you. Also important. And finally, Anne, because I know you were curious, I know how big of a Google fan you are. What about pricing? I'm sure that's what's going on in your
Oh,
head.
yes.
New
I want to
Google
know.
Shopping feature. You want to know, right? The
Yes.
new Google Shopping features not only include deal finding tools like price comparison, price insights, and price tracking throughout, but also a new dedicated and personalized deal page where you can browse deals for you by just clicking the deals link at the top of your page to explore. All right, Ann, since you started me off hot, I'm coming in hot, and I'm going to put you on the spot this week. This is not the
Oh,
official
boy.
A&M put you on the spot question. This is the Walton put you on the spot question. Because
This is a
last week,
junkyard version, the junkyard
yes,
version of the A&M put you on the spot. Yes. Okay.
exactly right. Yes, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, Ann, because last week you said Google's Lens announcement was a headline of the year candidate. So does this week's Google Shopping headline rank higher or lower in your estimation than Google Lens did last week in terms of the long-term impact on retail scale? The floor is yours.
Yes, I would say, let me clarify. I think that the component of the headline of the year last week with Google Lens was really more about how it's going to be a key component to changing how we search. And that's really a combination of both using visual elements to search in conjunction with the ability to use text search in that like whole search experience, to use voice to help you search. And so I don't think that they're mutually exclusive. I think this is probably the headline, but Lens is a key component of this announcement too, because this to me this ultimately signals like we Google is changing where we go to search when we're shopping for things. And the key thing that's differentiated between Google and Amazon here is that Google is enabling discovery and like your seek and destroy mission, as you would say, Chris, to
Mm-hmm.
find that product and take it home with you. And so I think that's what's fundamental here about what Google is doing. I think, it's just going to keep getting better as the algorithm learns more and the product descriptions get better and companies start to feed some of the content that's in these algorithms. And I think lastly, this also makes a case again for Own It or another platform that we've talked about on the show multiple
Mm-hmm.
times, because you, as the owner of the product, as the person selling this product, you have so much more data about that you can start to feed into the shopping experience that will ultimately make that better for the consumer. So go to Google Shopping. Like go down there right now. Check it out. It is so awesome. I'm so excited for this. Chris, it's a long answer to your question, but that's how I feel about it.
So if I sum it up, Ann, you basically say this
Yes,
is the more important headline of
this is
this
the
year. And
headline.
my
Yes,
hunch, though, in fairness to you, my hunch was you were already thinking about this in terms of when you were
for
discussing
sure.
last week's headline
For
and
sure.
just
For sure.
assuming this was going to come too, right?
Yes,
So
correct. Correct. Yes. And
yeah,
shout out to our friends at Google Shopping who are putting this on, our former Target Store of the Future team too. We got some people over there that are helping make this happen. So go check it out. Drive traffic to
yes,
the site.
yes. Well, and I mean, I 100% agree because I actually think this trumps Google Lens, and the reason I
For
say it is
sure.
because Google Lens, because it works with Google Lens, right? I mean, Google
Yes.
Lens is a part of it in the broader context. And like you
Hmm.
said, it ultimately changes how consumers search and buy products,
Right.
regardless of how many people adopt Google Lens for their searches, right? So the
Yeah.
macro impact of this is potentially bigger. But I think this headline is also important for a number of other reasons. Because I think, like you mentioned, I think it signals and tells everyone, what's coming next. And so first of
Yeah.
all, and there's 4 points I'd call out. So first you've got natural language based search, which is
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about a lot. It's coming. But then the other interesting one that I alluded to when I was reading the headline, filtering searches down based on language versus preset filters decided by some random taxonomist, which has
Right.
always been a crutch of e-commerce. Like it used to frustrate me like hell when I was running e-commerce because you can't keep pace with the amount of change that's happening in consumer
Right.
trends by, putting that on a taxonomist to
Mm-hmm.
chronicle and catalog and update your website. So that's
Right.
coming to you. The third part is which I think this part's really interesting. It goes back to own it thing too. The complementing of the searches with credible source material, which
Yes.
is something that Google can probably do better than anyone. And then, of course, lastly, the showing of the market availability of the products broadly, like where can you get them across all of retail, side by side, alongside, with price comparisons. Like that's pretty powerful stuff, and that's why Google here is very well positioned. So, but I think the implications of this are also really important if you're a retailer or brand listening,
Yes.
because if you don't have your site built to operate on what people are searching Google for and the questions they are asking Google, if you don't have your product information synced up to that and other people do, you are going to lose in the long run. You are going to lose e-commerce volume in the long run. So that is something you really have to think about, and you've got to start developing a strategy now to compensate for it.
Yeah, 100%. Chris, the other question that I have to ask you is that I think bringing Google Lens into this one more time.
Yeah.
Because Amazon, they've had visual search, right, on the Amazon platform for how long? Like
Oh my
since we
God, since we
started doing this,
started.
right? But
Yes,
don't
I
you,
think like probably 10 years, close to 10
okay,
years.
but don't you think it's interesting that Google like Lens was kind of the first like that was something that they launched, and I feel like Google Lens is so much more widely known than any other like individual brand's visual search function. So like this is another component of it that I think is interesting to kind of go backward into that. And now like using our normal search language, like we type something into Google to find products. I think it's so much more natural to like human behavior to search Google in this way, and the results are so much better. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting point. I mean, the statistic for me was like 20% of what was it? 20% of product searches are using Google Lens in their search.
Yes.
Like when
Yes.
people are searching products, they're using Google Lens. So I think that's really powerful. But the other thing, Anne, I think we all know at this point that you love Google Lens. I think it's like you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think that is clearly on the table. So I don't think we need. I think the audience and I are very comfortable with
You
your
don't want
love,
to
and
hear any more
appreciate
Google
it,
Lens.
Ann. We
All right,
appreciate
all
it.
right. Let's get into headline number three. Amazon is diversifying its marketplace and fulfillment centers to allow Prime members to add goods from Amazon.com, Amazon Fresh, and Whole Foods to one cart. According to Retail Dive, Amazon is piloting a new feature in its Phoenix market that enables Prime members to shop for grocery items alongside Amazon.com products and have them delivered together. The trial allows Amazon Prime members to shop for grocery essentials, including fresh items, alongside Amazon.com goods and have them delivered together in hours. The capability also gives shoppers access to the usual same-day delivery speed and selection of multiple delivery windows. Amazon plans to extend this model to more locations as it continues to, quote, test and learn, end quote, and anticipates more customers will continue to opt for same-day delivery from Amazon for grocery shopping. All right, Chris, where do you sit? Are you buying or selling this consolidated grocery shopping via Amazon?
Buying or selling? I'm a hard buy on this one, Ann.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I am. I'm a hard buy. I think it's smart. I
Okay.
mean, that's my first point. My second point, though, would be like, why did this take so long? That's my
Mm-hmm.
big question here. And
Yeah.
the other thing I'm going to bring to the table here is, I actually think this tells me how much Walmart is eating their lunch in e-commerce grocery. Because if
Yes.
you think
Yes.
back, Walmart actually had two experiences. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, they merged them together. And ever since, they haven't looked back. Like they're just crushing it, right? Which makes sense because you want to get it's the whole idea of mass merchandising. You want to get everything in one cart delivered to you at once. You don't want to have to go through two experiences. Like that's not
Mm-hmm.
good from a shopping standpoint. So Amazon is clearly playing catch up when you think about it from that angle. But swinging back around, I think ultimately it makes sense because you can get your weekly shopping list done all in one place on Amazon, and you can add any other items you want to during the course of a week or during the course of building your cart. So, but And then with that said, I think retailers like Walmart, Target, Costco, they can't be liking this announcement because I think it
Yeah.
makes Amazon more stronger in grocery, part and parcel. But my only
Yeah.
question though, I didn't have time. Maybe you had time to research this. I didn't have time to research it yesterday. My other question is like, I mean, it's only in Phoenix, but how does it work with like the up charges for Amazon Fresh
100%.
delivery for grocery versus Prime? Like that probably gets really confusing within this flow too. So I don't understand that either. But what did you think? You buying or
Yeah.
selling?
Yeah, I don't, I think I'm more leaning towards your why did it take them so long to do this? Because to me, this is like from a customer perspective, this is just a slight modification to the user experience of ordering from Amazon already. And my hope is exactly what you hit on, that it actually, the benefit to the customer here is that it gets them to that $35 daily delivery threshold faster, which seems to be like the biggest benefit. Because before, when you were adding, like, say you wanted to do, your Amazon stock up trip, not only do you have multiple carts going, and because some things are coming from Amazon Fresh, some are coming from Whole Foods, and some are coming from Amazon. But to me, it actually seems like this is doing more benefit on Amazon's part than it is like on the customer front. The only
Mhm.
benefit the customer gets, like, do they really care if their things are bundled? Like, I don't know that that's the case. I think, yes, maybe the delivery window being the same is nice, but to me this is like Amazon making logistical changes, doing testing, putting more things in one warehouse so that they can have fewer drivers out on the road and fewer deliveries going to the same destination, more so than it's really like an enhanced customer
Hmm.
experience.
That's interesting because I don't know. That's interesting because I don't know that I care if my deliveries are bundled, but I care that my
Okay.
shopping experience is bundled. Like this has actually
Sure.
been this has been a limiting factor for me trying Amazon for grocery because I'm like, oh, I got to go to another place to do this, and that's prevented me from actually wanting to use it as much as I
Hmm.
probably could have over these past few years,
Right.
particularly during the pandemic too, if you think about it.
Right.
So I think the consumer side of it for shopping is fine, but the delivery points are interesting. But for me as a consumer, yeah, I don't know that I care that they're bundled as long as I get them when you say I'm going to get them. And
Yeah.
my packages from Amazon arrive at different times right now, even if I check out
Right.
with one cart. So like,
Right.
what's the big deal?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, yeah, I'm really curious to see that threshold because that's what kept me from doing it before. Like I do want to put all my stuff in one grocery shopping trip. I can get it from Amazon, but if I can't get same day delivery because I only have two items from Whole Foods and then one item from like then I'm just like, no, I'm done. I'll go pick it up at Target or Walmart, which I'm wondering if customers might start to do anyway.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot to still figure out here on how this is going to work with all the different things they've got going on in this whole idea. And it doesn't see, I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna talk more about this. We got a complimentary headline in headline 5, which I cannot wait to get to. But yeah, it seems like there's a lot to this enchilada, and this is not a
Oh
chimichanga
yes.
yet, it's an enchilada. All right, headline number 4.
It's still
JD
wet and
Sports.
sloppy. It's
Yeah, it's
not
still a wet
baked.
and sloppy enchilada. Shady Sports just opened a new shopping platform called ReJD, a place for consumers to shop pre-owned shoes at huge discounts. According to the always in my weekly rotation and sneaker news,
Oh yes. Sneaker
Sneaker
news.
news. Yes, sneaker
Hmm.
news. ReJD is one of the few aftermarket platforms owned by a retailer as opposed to a sneaker brand. As a result, its selection is far more broad and isn't positioned as a hot destination for hyped up shoes, but rather under the radar styles as well as performance and casual footwear like sandals and slides. Every pair of shoes gets inspected, cleaned, and repaired as needed, then assigned a condition grade so buyers know exactly what to expect. And as our resident resale maven, what do you think of
Yes.
JD Sports' new JD concept?
I love the fact that JD is doing this from like an umbrella sporting goods brand or house perspective because one, the best part about this is that they, in theory, have all the data from the original purchase because they're collecting not only pre-loved, like gently worn items, but they're also taking into account returns that have come in, open box product that's come in, and they're putting this on this ReJD marketplace, which they're doing in conjunction with Arrive Recommerce, which is a platform Rochelle Snyder we've talked to several times. I believe in that platform, and I think what they're ultimately trying to do is, yes, get product back into circulation faster so it doesn't end up in landfills. However, Chris, there's a big but here for me.
A big but.
A
There's
big
always a
but.
but, and there's
There
always a but.
is. Bloomberg recently reported that sites like ThreadUp, Depop, and RealReal are having a really hard time right now being profitable because they still have to hold on to product. And that's what I am concerned about here with this JD platform. Because yes, you can authenticate it quickly because you know it came from you. You can have it cleaned and put out back into circulation. But how much money are you really going to still make on that product? That's the big question here for me, because I think that when you see sites that are doing this, when it's just peer to peer, there's no, pulling product back in and somebody having to own and manage that. I think that's where you stand to be most profitable. So I'm a little
Right.
surprised that JD didn't go that route, especially with such adored brands that they have in their stable, like Nike, like New Balance, and others. But where do you land on the whole JD, like, resale, this re-JD
Yeah.
site?
I mean, I don't have a lot to add. I think what the point you're bringing up is really interesting to me is right. And you're right, because like even those companies are struggling, even the peer-to-peer sites are, apparently struggling. And
Right.
so I do struggle with how anyone makes money doing this in the long run. Like it just seems like a really hard thing to make money when you're shipping, shoes back and forth multiple times or holding inventory for that. So like I don't know, but I think with that said, the one point I take from this story is JD Sports is clearly going for it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
we've had multiple headlines where we've talked about them this year, which before I don't even think JD Sports was in the lexicon of American retail all that much. But they're making headline after headline and taking some pretty unique approaches in the marketplace. Like we had them on talking about video commerce and everything they're doing there.
Yep.
Now the question is, they have to be careful they don't get too far out in front of things and keep their eye on the ball operationally in terms of the day to day. But we've talked to Ariane Parisi, their head of digital commerce there, and she's on top of her stuff. She gets it, and so like I think they're a retailer to watch here in the U.S. because they could be on an upswing. They're just doing some really creative things, and they're entering a space that honestly, needs somebody to kind of come in and be like, hey, we're gonna do this
Yes.
differently. We're gonna do it better, and so I applaud them for that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to headline number 5, Chris. Amazon is testing the addition of robot warehouses to Whole Foods so shoppers can pick up other orders at checkout. Okay. According to CNBC, Amazon is building a micro-fulfillment center attached to a Whole Foods location in the Philadelphia suburb of Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. Once the facility is operational within the next year, shoppers will be able to order items from Amazon's website and its online grocery service, Amazon Fresh, while browsing Whole Foods and pick it up in the store as they're checking out. The arrangement would allow shoppers to buy staple goods from brands that aren't carried at Whole Foods markets. For example, the Pepsi soda and Kellogg's cereal that is on top of your kids' list and may prevent some people still from going to a Whole Foods to complete their trip. And now it taps into the vast online Amazon catalog of items. Chris, this is the A&M, the real
The real
A&M.
one.
Put you on the spot question. A&M wants to know, in Amazon's play to consolidate trips and increase baskets through Whole Foods, will the end consumer impact here be more trips to Whole Foods from non-Whole Foods shoppers, or just fewer trips by Whole Foods shopper to other grocery retailers?
Oh man. Oh Jesus. That might be my favorite question all time from A&M.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I answer that question, I got to give a shout out to Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania. Did
Yeah.
you know there was a Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania?
I didn't, but I didn't question it. When I read it, I was like, sure, this makes sense. Like
Yeah.
Plymouth Meeting feels like where all the pilgrims came and
Like,
had
would you
Thanksgiving
like to have been
dinner.
in
I
the
don't
room where
know.
the town created their name? Like, I would love to have been in that room. What should we call ourselves? Well, we're meeting. We're near, I
In
don't know,
Plymouth here, near
Plymouth.
Plymouth
Yeah,
Rock.
let's call ourselves Plymouth Meeting. I don't know. But anyway, all right, back to the question. So will the end consumer impact here be more trips to Whole Foods from non-Whole Foods shoppers or just fewer trips by Whole Foods shoppers to other grocery stores? It's an amazing question. I'm gonna go bold on this answer, and I'm gonna actually say that when you combine this with what's going on in headline 3 and where Amazon is potentially heading, I think
Yep.
the answer is actually C. I think it's
Okay.
going to mean yes, fewer trips by Whole Foods shoppers to other grocery retailers. But if these headlines both play out as intended, it will also mean less trips to Whole Foods stores by Whole Foods shoppers as
Hmm.
well.
Okay.
Because,
How come?
and I say that for a couple of reasons. First, the use case is just freaking silly. Like, I can't
Yeah.
stand the use case. I'm standing in a Whole Foods and I'm going to go on my phone and order Pepsi. No, it's not going to happen. I can do that much easier from my couch based on what you're trying to put forward in headline number 3. So,
Yeah.
so if you believe the consolidated idea, people are going to gravitate towards that, which ultimately leads, if you play this out, which ultimately means you're going to have less shoppers in Whole Foods, which is going to mean less margin for Whole Foods over time, less long-term investment in Whole Foods in-store experience. And here's the thing, Ann, this is where I'm getting bold, which ultimately means the eventual death of Whole Foods as we know it today and
Oh,
love it.
wow. Okay.
So which brings up an interesting question. And here's why I say that, which brings up an interesting question. If Amazon were to sell Whole Foods right now, would it be worth more or less than they originally paid for it?
Oh, God. I have no. What do you think? I don't
My
even
my
know.
guess is it would actually be worth less because Amazon has done nothing with it. And now I think this headline, if they keep playing this out the way they are, this is essentially going to kill it because Amazon's mass market dominance is so strong in e-commerce that it's going to pull people out of the actual store, which is going to create the death of Whole Foods down the line. That's my prediction here.
Oh, man. You've given me so much to think about in this. I
That's why I
mean,
love this show. I
yeah.
went down a big rabbit hole on this, and I kind of think it's gonna happen. Like, if this is how it's gonna play out, like if you're trying to get people to buy Pepsi while they're in Whole Foods, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing
Well,
here?
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think that that's what I was thinking. Like, my biggest concern here is like these are mini warehouses right now, and how much product can you actually fit? Like, yes, we know Coca-Cola and Pepsi
Right.
and, Doritos you can't buy in a Whole Foods, but then like what? So then I'm like, well, does it just make sense to start carrying these products inside of a Whole Foods if you know that that's what it is? Like, why are you going to put this to a mini warehouse and put the friction point on the consumer then to have to like order that separately? Like, why wouldn't you just start
Yeah.
carrying it in your store? But then you defeat the purpose of Whole Foods as a concept to begin with. So like that to me, that brings up a really interesting point. I will say that this does kind of put some clarification to what Claire Peters was talking about last week at grocery shop when she said they were trying to consolidate trips and make shopping easier. I wish we knew about this when she was talking because I think that would have straightened things out a little bit, at least under given us an example of what to expect of what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
But ultimately, like I just keep getting back to how much can they fit in there? And are you still going to force me as a consumer to do another trip? Because I don't know that, in your mini warehouse, you're going to have all the things on my list that I could just let, to your point, walk into a Target or walk into a Walmart and check all off my list in one trip and be home and not have to do anything else.
But here's the thing, you will from home. Because of headline number
Yes,
3, you will from home. You will be able to get that delivered to your house from home because of the consolidation effort. So,
right.
see, I actually disagree with the point on Claire Peters too. Like, I actually think this is just further emphasizing the fact that I have no idea what their grocery strategy is when you look at everything they have under their banners. Like, they have
Yeah.
Amazon Fresh, they have the Amazon website, they have Whole Foods, they have these other retailers that are. The other part of this too is the other retailers that are selling through Amazon as well that I'm assuming will be part of this consolidated effort. So if
Hmm.
you have all of those happening, Amazon's going to pull a hell of a lot of e-commerce volume from consumers over time. But I don't think those same consumers are going to be the ones going into stores anymore to the same
Yeah.
degree. And so that means that the stores they used to frequent are going to struggle. And Whole
Yeah.
Foods is going to be the prime one in my mind that struggles.
Right. And again, like you just made me think of something else. So the other part of this is still the stores issue that Amazon has and like the whole like
Yeah.
problem with what the shopping experience is going to be like
Right.
in the Whole Food store. Because I think this also takes out like you're still not having the discovery that happens of
Right.
product in like it shows you that Amazon's not thinking about the merchandising of that discovery. Like, how are they going to put
Right.
are they going to put socks on display? Is there going to be signage for Pepsi that you can order? Like, how do you have that those moments happen in a physical environment? Fine that you know how to do it in a digital environment, like you said, and you'd order all that stuff to your house. But like, what's this going? How are they thinking still about what their grocery footprint strategy is going to
And
be?
that's a great point because my biggest lesson leading the Store of the Future project at Target is the
Yeah,
last thing I wanted was a consumer to be on their phone looking for a product they can't get inside my store
yeah,
because then they're missing all the
Right.
merchandising that I am making the effort to put in front of them in the store, right?
So,
That's
yeah.
a
So,
big
Chris,
disconnect when you get right
it
down to it.
is. So what do you think is going to happen? Like, do you think that they're going to, like, one, do they have enough product to test this in those mini? Like, I still go back to like, what's in the mini warehouses? How many
I just don't
SKUs
think
can
it's
you
going to
hold in
happen
there?
to it.
You don't think. So you think this
No,
will
I
just be
don't.
like killed as a test and it's not going to.
I think it's a fun thing to talk about. I don't think consumers will actually do it. I think they'll either do it, they'll either coordinate the order before they get there, or they'll just order from
Yeah.
home and never leave their house. Like that's what's
Right.
going to happen. Like I'm
Oh
not
my
going to be
God.
standing in the chips aisle and go, oh, you know what? I can pull out my phone now and I'm going to order a
Yeah.
bag of Tostitos for the party I'm going to
Right.
have. Like it's just not going to happen that way because
Right.
it maybe as a one-off, but that's not going to move anything. So I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, what I think is going to happen here is I think Whole Foods is either going to go struggle or it's actually going to get sold, which is why I thought of the question of like, how much is it worth right now? Is it worth more or
Right.
less since Amazon took it over?
Right. No, it's a great point. Oh
Maybe it could be worth more
God.
to somebody because they could probably do something creative with it. I don't know.
All right, people, we
But
want to
yeah,
hear what
fun
your
one, huh?
thoughts
And
are.
fun one.
Send us slide into the DMs and tell us what you think about this
I,
one.
I always love when we
Um,
get thinking in real time. We never
I
know which
know,
way
right?
the conversation is going to go when we start thinking in real time. It's always dangerous.
Oh my God. All right, let's close this out with a lightning round, Chris. Question number one goes to you.
Hmm.
Walmart just posted a job and hired a full-time meteorologist, which would have been
Wow.
my dream job as a 5-year-old. What did you want to be when you were little?
Really? You wanted to be a meteorologist? Wow.
Oh, I
That's
wanted to be
wild.
a meteorologist because I was terrified of storms and I love retail. So like this would be the marriage of my two favorite things. It would
Wow.
be
Okay.
perfect.
I had no idea the
Oh
meteorology
yeah.
history with you. All right.
Oh yeah.
Well, funny story for me to answer that question. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I was outside shooting hoops in my driveway in Phoenix, and my grandmother came out. She was visiting, and she's like, I don't know how it started, but she's like, Chris, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, you know what I want to be? I want to be Mike Royko, Grandma. And
Who's Mike Royko?
Mike Royko was an editorialist, famous editorialist for the Chicago Tribune and other Chicago papers as
Oh,
well. And I'd read his column like every week. It would get syndicated to like the Tempe Tribune, where I grew up, and I always liked it. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And and basically, the cool thing is that is kind of what I do now, you know.
oh
And
my
I'm not at his
gosh.
stature by any means, but you got to start somewhere, Ann, right? I mean, so yeah.
That's
So I think
amazing.
it's kind of fun to look back on that.
How old were you reading Mike Royko? Some
I was
kids read
probably this
Peanuts. Chris reads
I was
Mike
probably like
Royko.
12 or 13. Like I was probably
Okay.
12 or 13. But yeah, I remember
Okay.
that
Okay.
conversation vividly. Yeah, I wanted to be a columnist, you know, and
Oh
that's
my God.
kind of how it played out, you know. All
Oh
right.
my God.
Second one, KFC is issuing a battle cry to its fast food rivals with the launch of an integrated ad campaign for its new original recipe tenders. Rank the
Mm.
following fried chicken restaurants in order of your preference, and KFC, Popeyes, Chick-fil-A, and Raising Cane's.
Okay, without question, Popeyes is the number one. This should not even be a question. It is the
Wow.
best
I've
fried
never
chicken.
had Popeyes ever.
Oh
That's
my
so
God,
crazy.
Chris, do yourself a favor
I
and
know I need to
go
do
to
that.
Popeyes. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Okay, then I would say Raising Cane's, and then I would say I would pick McDonald's chicken nuggets, which you didn't even put in the running because I would take those over any of the other ones. Chick-fil-A, KFC, no thanks. Not my
You went
jam.
out on your own on that one. Wow.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Nice.
I threw in a dark horse with the McDonald's chicken nugget.
Maybe I'd
Or
go with the
maybe
McDonald's chicken Big Mac,
I
right?
was
Is that
just
what you're
gonna
gonna
say, I
say? I
forgot
saw
about
where you were
that. I
going with
forgot
that.
about that. That would be my next thing to try probably. All right, Chris. Target announced an exclusive Taylor Swift Black Friday release, the official Taylor Swift The Eras Tour book, and the Tortured Poets Department, the anthology, in hopes to drive more shoppers to Target during this high holy day of shopping. What deeply discounted product would be worth waiting in Black Friday lines, if not the T Swift Eras Tour book?
Oh wow. Yeah, that's easy. I mean, my son and I were in Target on the weekend and he spied this Bumblebee Transformer Lego,
Ooh,
and
okay.
it was like over $100. So I was like, no, we're not getting that. And so he's like, maybe it'll go on sale for Black Friday. I was like, yes, maybe it will, or maybe it
You've
won't.
taught him
But
well. You've taught him
yes.
well.
Oh, yes. The discerning shopper. All right, Ann, this one's a fun one. Meat stick maker Chomps is, believe it or
Ooh.
not, now the fastest growing snack in the United States. When was the last time you snapped into a Slim Jim or something similar?
Ooh, not high on my list of things that I like to snack on, but I did do a two Star Cycle ride. We are getting a new thing. It's like a Soul Cycle esque place. We did a ride last week and they had bison jerky sticks that were being given away as samples. So I tried it. My thing is, I used to love dried meat, but then I went to the bodies exhibit, the body, like the bodies where they had like
Mm-hmm.
real, yeah. I went to the bodies exhibit at the Science Museum and I had a hard time going back to dried meats after that. So
Interesting.
maybe
Because of the
I'll come off the
texture?
weight. Yeah, just
Yeah,
look
but
seeing the muscles and the texture of the jerky was it's a hard.
see, I'm gonna call BS on that, Ann, because I swear to God, I've been on conference trips with you, and the beef stick is quite frankly an overused like sample that gets put in like the conference
Yep.
bags. And I have
Yep.
seen you, because I avoid those, I have seen you eat those pretty
Yeah,
regularly
that
over
was
the years.
yeah, pretty regularly. I would say
Yeah,
like I have eaten one, but I'm trying to remember like the last time. I mean, that would be like an extreme case. I
there
need
is a
snacks on
moment that
these
I know is in
trips.
both our heads where you ate one of those. I think that's what you're trying to grab right now.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
I can't do the stick. I can do the jerky. I can't do the stick, you know? I just can't do
This
it.
yeah,
Are you more of a
maybe in a
stick than
Bloody
a jerky
Mary, I
because of the
guess.
bodies exhibit?
Yeah, I think so. I
Oh
think
my
like
God.
this, it depends. I don't know. I'm very discerning about my meat sticks. They got
Yeah.
to be
It's
they can't be a certain texture. Like they can't have any like chewy bits in them. I don't know. So yes, I mean,
yeah.
I'll take a bite, but it's not going to be my go-to snack for sure.
Yeah, I feel the same way about meat sticks that I do about hot dogs. Like just they didn't neither one are going in my mouth unless I have any if I got anything to say about it. All right. Happy birthday today to Tim Robbins before this show goes completely off the rails. Kelly Martin, and to the man who played General Behringer of NORAD during a time of eminent global thermonuclear war, the great Barry Corbin of War Games. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk, the only retail media outlet run by two former executives from a current top 10 US retailer. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news, and our daily newsletter, the Retail Daily Minute, tells you all you need to know each day to stay on top of your game as a retail executive, and also regularly features special content that is exclusive to us and that Ann and I take a lot of pride in doing just for you. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. You can follow us today by simply going to youtube.com/OmniTalkRetail, where Ann, our YouTube subscribers are off the charts right now. We are gaining subscribers like it's our job, because in a way it is. But
It
until
is.
next week, on behalf of all of us at OmniTalk, be careful out there.